younger women feel comfortable in his company. Let me tell you something interesting I've noticed throughout my 70 years of life. You know, when I was younger, I used to worry about impressing people, always trying to show off my knowledge. But over time, I learned that wasn't necessary. As my granddaughter always says, "Grandpa, you have such a peaceful way about you." I want to share a story that happened to me at the community center I attend. A young crafts teacher, probably around 30, always comes to chat with me during class breaks. At first, I thought she was just being polite, but I realized she was genuinely interested in the stories I told about my days as a carpenter. One day she told me, "Mr. Jack, it's so nice talking to you. You never judge anyone, you just listen and give advice when we ask for it." That made me realize that we older folks have this natural gift of making people feel welcome. It's not because we're special, it's because we've lived so long that we've learned not to worry about trivial things. Compliments about your style and appearance. You know, I've always been a simple man, right? But one thing I learned from my late wife is that it doesn't hurt to take care of yourself a little. Every morning, even living alone, I make sure to take a good shower, put some moisturizer on my face, yes, men can do that too, and wear well-pressed clothes. Just the other day, I was at the local grocery store, wearing my favorite plaid shirt, the one my daughter gave me for Christmas, and a very nice lady stopped me to say, "How elegant you look, always so well dressed." I felt quite proud, I must admit. You don't need to spend a fortune on brand name clothes. The secret is keeping everything clean and organized. I have all my shirts hung by color in the closet, my shoes always polished, learned that from my father, and I never leave home without putting on the light cologne my grandkids gave me. Prolonged glances. This story about glances is funny, you know? When you're younger, you get all flustered when someone looks at you. Now at my age, I've learned to take it in stride. Last week I was in line at the bank, and I noticed a lady observing me. When our eyes met, she smiled and said I reminded her of her father. It's interesting how people notice us without us trying. In my water aerobics group, yes, I do water aerobics 3 times a week, I recommend it, there's always someone commenting on my posture. The physical therapist says it's because I keep my spine straight, a habit I picked up after years of working as a carpenter. People seek you out for advice and help. This happens so often that I sometimes joke I've become a walking counseling office. But it's gratifying, you know. In the apartment building where I live, neighbors are always knocking on my door. Just last week, Mrs. Thompson from apartment 302 came to ask my opinion about her daughter's relationship. I remember well when Kevin, the neighbor's son, was having trouble choosing his career. He sat here on my porch. We had coffee and talked for hours. I told him about how it was when I chose to be a carpenter, the difficulties I faced, but also all the joys my trade brought me. Today he's a civil engineer and always says that conversation helped him a lot in making his decision. Calm confidence. You know, my dear friends, this confidence people say I have didn't come overnight. It's the result of a lot of experience, of having been through ups and downs in life. When you've lived through a recession, raised 3 children, weathered economic crises, and you're still here, strong and steady, you learn not to get shaken by every little thing. At the last family gathering, my daughter-in-law said something interesting. She said, "Dad, it's impressive how you can talk to everyone, from great-grandchildren to adults, with the same ease. And you know why? Because I don't try to be different from who I am. If I'm with the little ones, I tell children's stories. If I'm with adults, I share life experiences." Compliments on your physical shape. Look, I'll tell you something I learned in my 70 years. You don't need to be an Olympic athlete to stay healthy. Every morning I take my walk in the park nearby. It started when the doctor said I needed to move more back when I was about 60. At first I could barely make 1 lap. Today, I do 5 laps and still have breath left to chat with other walkers. The other day, I ran into an old colleague from the factory where I worked. She was amazed. "Mr. Jack, you're in better shape than many young folks out there." I laughed and explained my secret. Movement is life. I make a point of taking stairs instead of the elevator, when it's just a few floors, of course. I tend to my garden in the backyard, and twice a week I go to water aerobics with the senior group. The trick isn't to do a lot, it's to do it consistently. As my grandmother used to say, slow and steady wins the race. And she was right. Even my doctor at my last checkup said my test results are better than those of many people half my age. Your jokes provoke genuine laughter. This part is fun. You know those old jokes that everyone's heard? Well, I keep telling them. The secret isn't in the joke itself, but in how you tell it. Like that parrot joke I always tell at Sunday lunch. The grandkids know it by heart, but they still laugh. Last week, I was at the community center and told the story about when I confused laundry detergent with flour while baking a cake. It really happened. The ladies laughed so hard that the crafts teacher had to pause the class. It's not because the story is extraordinary, it's because I tell it with joy, with that sparkle in my eyes of someone who can laugh at their own mistakes. As I always say, it's better to laugh at life than cry about it. Even the simplest everyday stories can become a reason to laugh when you learn to see the funny side of things. Like when I lost my dentures in the garden and only found them after my grandson turned on the sprinkler. Now that's become a family legend. Subtle flirting gestures. This part is delicate, you see. After I became a widower 5 years ago, I started to notice that some ladies in the senior group acted differently around me. At first I felt awkward, but I learned to handle it with respect and affection. For example, Mrs. Betty always finds a way to sit next to me at Thursday bingo. When she tells a story, she lightly touches my arm. These are subtle gestures, but you notice them. Like the other day when she made a point of bringing me a slice of cake she had baked, saying she remembered I like lemon. It's beautiful to see how affection and fondness have no age. Of course, nowadays it's all more relaxed, more serene. It's not that anxiety of youth. It's a lingering look during coffee, a special smile when I arrive at the community hall, that way of fixing her hair when she's talking to me. Final reflections on attractiveness in the golden years. With age, I've learned that true attractiveness isn't in trying to be who we're not. It's in the peace of mind we've achieved, the wisdom we've accumulated, and especially in the ability to accept life as it is. When I was young, I thought I had to prove something to everyone. Today, I know that the most important thing is to be comfortable with yourself. It's about maintaining curiosity for life, interest in people, the desire to learn new things. I keep an active routine. I participate in the church choir, do crossword puzzles every day to exercise my mind, learn to use WhatsApp to talk to my grandchildren, although I still sometimes send voice messages by accident, and whenever I can, I gather the family for a lunch where I cook that chili recipe I learned from my mother. The secret of attractiveness at our age isn't in trying to look younger, but in carrying our age with dignity and joy. It's about keeping the heart young while the body ages, about sharing stories and experiences without fear of showing the wrinkles they've brought us. As I always tell my grandchildren, life is like a good wine. It gets better with time as long as you know how to appreciate it. And this wisdom, this tranquility that comes with the years, is what really attracts people. You don't need to make an effort. Just be who we are with our history, our experiences, and especially with our ability to welcome and understand others. The importance of social routine. You know, one thing I've learned over time is that we can't isolate ourselves. After I retired, I realized I needed to create a new social routine. At first, it wasn't easy. I spent a few months just watching TV and complaining about life, until my daughter signed me up for a senior dance group. On the first day, I was dying of embarrassment. Imagine that me, old Jack, dancing the cha-cha. But now I don't miss a class. We've formed such a nice group. There's Mr. Frank, who plays the accordion, Mrs. Doris, who makes delicious coffee for the break, and we even organize performances at charity events. Practical tips I've learned about social interaction in the golden years. Community groups. Every neighborhood has its senior community center. At first it might seem strange, but it's a blessing. That's where I met the Wednesday Domino crew. Now we're inseparable. We even have a monthly tournament, complete with a trophy and everything. Religious activities. Even those who aren't very religious can benefit from church social activities. I participate in the prayer group on Mondays and the choir on Saturdays. It's not just about praying, it's about being together, sharing stories, supporting each other. Community projects. I got involved in a community garden project in the neighborhood. I teach young people how to plant. They teach me how to use my smartphone. It's a wonderful exchange. The other day, a 12-year-old boy taught me how to use Google Maps. Now I don't get lost anymore when I visit my grandkids. About health and well-being. With age, I've learned that health isn't just about taking medicine on time, although that's important. It's a combination of things. Nutrition. I maintain my garden with fresh herbs and vegetables. As my mother used to say, The best medicine is on the tip of your fork. I make a point of cooking my own meals. It's quite therapeutic. I even follow healthy recipe blogs now. I've learned to respect my sleep. I go to bed early, wake up early. So I have my rituals. Chamomile tea before bed, some light reading, no cell phone in bed. I learned that from my geriatrician. Mental exercises. Besides physical exercises, I make sure to exercise my mind. I participate in a book club, do crossword puzzles, learn to play Sudoku. My granddaughter even taught me how to use memory game apps on my phone. Relationships in the golden years. This is a delicate subject, but an important one. After I became a widower, I thought my romantic life was over. But life surprises us. In the dance group, I met Mrs. Rose, also a widow. We started as friends, talking about our grandchildren, exchanging recipes. Today we have a beautiful, respectful relationship. We go out for ice cream, go to the movies, participate in community events together. The children on both sides support our friendship. It's different from young love. It's more mature, more peaceful. Some lessons I've learned about relationships at this stage: respect for time. There's no rush. Everyone has their own rhythm, their own story, their own memories to process. The important thing is to be honest with your feelings and respect those of others. Family. It's crucial to have family support. I talk openly with my children about my friendships and relationships. They're happy to see me happy. Independence. Even in a relationship, I maintain my independence. I have my own activities, my own home, my own routine. Companionship is about adding to our lives, not changing who we are. Technology and the golden years. This is a chapter in itself. At first I was afraid to touch my cell phone. I thought I'd break it. Today, I even have Instagram. Can you believe it? Of course, with help from my grandkids, who are my personal technology teachers. Some technological achievements I'm proud of. WhatsApp groups, I participate in several. Family, choir, dance group. I've even learned to send stickers, although I sometimes still send them by accident. Video calls. What a wonder to be able to see grandchildren who live far away. Every Sunday we have a family call. It feels like we're all together in the living room. Useful apps. I learned to use ride-sharing apps, banking apps, even recipe apps. Of course, always with caution and asking for help when I need it. Wisdom and experience. One thing I've realized is that we, seniors, have a lot to teach, but also a lot to learn. Wisdom lies in maintaining the balance between sharing our experiences and being open to new ideas. For example, the other day I was teaching my grandson how to make homemade bread, his great-grandmother's recipe. While the dough was resting, he taught me about recycling and the environment. It was a rich exchange for both of us. Some reflections on wisdom in the golden years. Humility to learn. The world changes fast and we have to be willing to always learn. We can't stay stuck in the back in my day mentality. Patience to teach. When we share our experiences, we need to have patience. Not everyone wants to hear all our stories, and that's okay. Balance. It's important to find the balance between tradition and modernity. As I always say, strong roots allow for flexible branches. Finances in the golden years. One thing I learned in my 70 years is that we need to talk openly about money. When I retired, I had to relearn how to handle finances. It was a challenge, but I developed some habits that helped me a lot. Financial organization. At the beginning of each month, I sit at the kitchen table with my little notebook. Yes, I still prefer to write things down on paper and organize the bills. I note everything: the electricity bill, blood pressure medication, even the coffee I have at the diner. Creative economy. I discovered several ways to save money without stopping to enjoy life. For example, I go to the farmer's market late in the afternoon when prices are lower. I participate in free programs at the neighborhood cultural center. I learn to fix small things around the house using YouTube tutorials, with help from the grandkids, of course. Planning, I always set aside a little money for emergencies and to fulfill small dreams. That's why I developed several strategies to keep it active. Games and mental exercises. I do crossword puzzles every day after breakfast. I participate in a chess group on Wednesdays. I learned to play categories with my great-grandchildren on paper. I do memorization exercises with playing cards. Routine and organization. I keep a large calendar on the kitchen wall. I write important appointments on colorful sticky notes. I created a color system for medications. I have fixed times for important activities, spirituality, and emotional well-being. With age, spirituality has gained a deeper meaning in my life. It's not just about religion, but about finding inner peace. Daily practices. I meditate for 15 minutes every morning, learned in a free course at the health center. I take a contemplative walk in the garden. I keep a gratitude journal. I practice conscious breathing when I feel anxious. Connection with nature. I care for my plants as if they were family. I observe the birds that visit my garden. I have picnics in the park with other seniors. I participate in a therapeutic gardening group, dealing with technological changes. The digital world sometimes seems scary, but I learn to face it with curiosity. Continuous learning. I participate in digital inclusion workshops at the library. I ask for help from grandchildren without shame. I write down important instructions in a notebook. I practice a little. Everyday digital security. I learned about online scams in bank lectures. I never click on unknown links. I keep secure passwords, written down in a secret place. I consult family before making online purchases. Cultivating new friendships. Making friends in the golden years might seem difficult, but I discovered there are many opportunities. Interest groups. I participate in a monthly book club. I attend crafting classes. I joined a walking group. I participate in senior excursions, maintaining friendships. I schedule regular coffee dates with old friends. I organize lunches at home once a month. I keep in touch by phone with distant friends. I celebrate birthdays and special dates, taking care of appearance. I learned that taking care of appearance isn't vanity. It's self-love. Care routine I keep. Regular appointments at the barber. I choose comfortable but presentable clothes. I pay special attention to hygiene. I keep my nails always trimmed. Personal style. I developed my own style of dressing. I wear colors that make me feel good. I keep some special pieces for festive occasions. I learned to combine clothes in a practical way. Managing health is our greatest wealth, and I learned to care for it holistically. Medical follow-up. I keep a schedule with all appointments. I have regular checkups. I write down questions to ask the doctor. I keep a folder with all the results. Medications I use a weekly organizer box. I have alarms on my cell phone for schedules. I keep an updated list of medicines. I always check expiration dates, projects and dreams. It's never too late to have dreams and projects. Short term. I'm learning to play the harmonica. I'm planning a trip to the coast. I want to learn how to make whole wheat bread. I'm writing my memoirs. Long term. I dream of visiting the Grand Canyon. I want to learn how to swim. I plan to take a photography course. I'm thinking about starting a storytelling group for kids. My dear friends of the Golden Age, let me share a few more things I've learned on this long journey of life before leaving a special message for you. Celebrating small victories. You know, with 70 years under my belt, I've learned to celebrate every small achievement. Daily moments. When I manage to do my walk even on a cloudy day, when I learn something new on the phone by myself, when I do my exercises without feeling pain, when I receive a surprise call from the grandkids' personal achievements, when I overcome the fear of using the ATM, when I make new friends in the dance group, when I can read a whole book without needing stronger reading glasses, when I remember all the words to an old song, The Art of Aging, gracefully. One thing I discovered is that aging is an art that we learn day by day. Acceptance. I've learned to like my wrinkles. Each one tells a story. I accept that some days are harder than others. I understand that everyone has their own time and rhythm. I value being more than appearing. Adaptation. I created new ways to do old tasks. I learned to ask for help when I need it. I discovered new hobbies adapted to my limitations. I developed strategies to maintain my independence. And now, my dear companions on this journey, I want to leave a special message from the bottom of my heart. My beloved friends who, like me, have seen many moons and suns pass. Do you know how many stories we carry in our hearts? Last year, I managed to save enough to visit my sister who lives in another state. Memory care. A common concern at our age is memory. How many smiles we've given, how many tears we've shed, how many hugs we've shared. Each of our wrinkles is a chapter in a beautiful story that continues to be written every day. Don't let anyone tell you our time has passed. Our time is now. It's today. It's every moment we breathe and move forward. They may have taken some of our agility, but they haven't taken our wisdom. They may have whitened our hair, but they haven't dimmed the sparkle in our eyes. Remember, we're like ancient trees in a garden. The more time passes, the deeper our roots, the stronger our presence, the more valuable our shade for those who need shelter. Don't be afraid to start something new. Old Jack started dancing the cha-cha at 70. Who would have thought? And look, my legs aren't what they used to be, but my heart? The heart remains young and full of life. To each one reading this now, you are a living treasure. Your experience is valuable, your presence is important, your story deserves to be told and celebrated. Let's continue our journey with joy, with strength, with hope. Let's keep learning, loving, living. Because life, my friends, life never stops surprising us. And always remember, it's not the age on the document that defines who we are, but the love we have for life, the willingness to keep learning, and the wisdom to know that each day is a new opportunity to be happy. As that saying my grandmother always repeated goes, time doesn't go backwards, but each morning is a new chance to make today the best day of our lives. Let's move forward, with faith, with love, and with lots of joy in our hearts. Because we, the young for a longer time, still have so much to live for, so much to teach, and especially so much to learn. A warm hug from your friend Jack, who at 70 discovered that life becomes even more beautiful when we learn to live it with gratitude, humor, and lots of love in our hearts. And remember, as long as there's a sparkle in our eyes and love in our hearts, we'll be eternally young. With affection and gratitude, Jack. With ein to